Zilch left, 35 Wichita Macho
Dice
Toe.
right, F5.
Dice right numbers, 3 Jet Spielberg.
Ready?
All right, and welcome back to episode 7 of the Pre-Snap Pressure Podcast. I'm Nick Colazzo, of course, joined by Ryan Shapiro. Majority of week 1 is in the books at the time of recording this. There's still 2-3 big games left on the schedule on Sunday and Monday. But as of now, most of the major headline games have concluded, and we're here to talk about it. Ryan, what are your reactions after week 1?
I'm happy that we have something to base everything that we're about to talk off of. I'm glad that there's some sustenance to start basing, future predictions off of. And, I was wrong about a lot of picks early in the season.
Oh, we were wrong about a lot of picks.
Yeah. So, I'm glad that I can start basing other predictions off of evidence now.
Moving right along, we're going to go into a top 5 and bottom 5 of the week. We're going to start with the top 5 with an honorable mention to Bryce Underwood in his first start as the quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines. Had a pretty good game, 21 of 31, 251 and a touchdown, commanded that offense well enough. He did what was asked of him. He said, don't make any mistakes, let the running game do the work for you, and that's exactly what he did. Some concerns coming out of the Michigan camp about the defense letting up 17 points, but I wouldn't be too worried about that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to give up 17 points to a a team that you're supposed to beat down on. But, yeah, I mean, a pretty solid game, 21 of 31, 251 and a touchdown from Bryce Underwood. So, not much to complain about on his end. Rushing wise, didn't really run the ball much for himself. I think, overall the Michigan running game helped take some of the load off on him. Justice Haynes had 16 carries for almost 160 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, and as a team, they had about 200. So when you're running the ball for 200 yards, that's usually pretty helpful for a first-time quarterback.
All right, moving on to number 5. The top 5 of the week is just South Florida in general, absolutely taking care of business against Boise State. We'll get into this a little bit earlier, but preseason ranked Boise State, should they have been ranked? Probably not. And South Florida showed them exactly why. 34-7, a beatdown of the playoff team from last year.
Yeah, I mean, this was just absolute domination. Boise State got the lead for a couple of seconds, and then instantly it was gone after that. South Florida scored 34 unanswered. Just great games all around from really the entire team. Byron Brown, the quarterback, 60 and 24, 210 yards. Alvin Isaac had 3 carries for 52 yards. Byron Brown also had 14 carries for 43 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, overall as a team, they did some really good things. I believe they also threw a trick play in there at the end, or no, they threw their freshman quarterback in there at the end, and he got a 45-yard touchdown pass. So.
When stuff's going right, man.
Yeah, when stuff's going right, it's going right. And, it's a great look for South Florida and maybe a really bad look for Boise State. And, yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised to see Boise State ranked at the end of at the start of the preseason, but I wasn't expecting them to do much this year.
All right, moving on to number 4, a team that I think we were both very wrong about. How about Tennessee coming out and absolutely dominating offensively against Syracuse? 45-26 final score, 248 rushing yards for Tennessee to go along with 274 passing yards for Joey Aguilar in his first start in the SEC. Man, were we wrong. We thought this was going to be a game that was primed for Tennessee to fall apart and Syracuse to take, and Syracuse just wasn't in contention for any of the game at all.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize to Coach Heupel and Joey Aguilar for absolutely just tearing down your offense.
Not familiar with your game.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was not familiar at all, apparently. Yeah, I mean, 17-0 at the end of the first quarter, and that was just the game at that point. Because the rest of the game was pretty close, overall, but I mean, Tennessee didn't really need to do much after that. So, yeah, I mean, just awesome work from Aguilar and the entire Tennessee offense. And if they can keep this up, that's pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, moving on to number 3 of the top 5 of the week would be the Ohio State secondary. Offense was questionable for the Buckeyes, but man, that defense, specifically that secondary, came to play. Davison Igbinosun with a really great game. Caleb Downs obviously had a good game. Jermaine Matthews with a good game as well. Had Arch Manning and the Texas receivers in a box.
Yeah, I mean, Arch wasn't really helping himself out that game. I think, what was it, like 10 or 11 of his passes were like missed time throws or something like that.
It was like 30, I think it was 11 of his 30 passes were not like
were like bad throws
accurate
or something
throws.
like that. Yeah. But no, I mean, and that's not to just discredit the Ohio State secondary. They absolutely dominate all game, and I mean, I'd go as far as to say just in general the Ohio State defense, holding a team that has the Heisman favorite to 7 points, like that's good work on you, and that's a really good indicator of what's to come this season.
All right, moving on to number 2 of the top 5. How about Aaron Anderson for LSU? Had some struggles offensively. LSU did in the first half. Kind of corralled it in the second half. Anderson was a big part of that. 6 catches for 99 yards. For LSU receiving, nobody else came close to that. Their second highest receiver had 31 yards. So when the game was on the line and Nussmeier needed somebody to target, it was number 1.
Yeah, I mean, big games call on for big names, and Aaron Anderson was one of those, and he made the big plays at the right time. And in what was such a highly contested game the whole way through, another game that was just absolutely dominated by defense, which wasn't really expected, to be honest. But I mean, when push came to shove, Aaron Anderson, that was the guy to go to all day.
All right, and finishing out our top 5 of the week, how about the Florida State run game? Wow. 236 yards, 78 for your quarterback. Danzy had 56. Jalen Lucas had, added 22. They were just running all over that Alabama defense.
Yeah, I mean, another team. I was not familiar with your game.
I don't think anybody was.
Tommy Castellanos, dude knows ball.
I mean, he said it. He said, "I don't see Bama being able to stop me." We all called him crazy. Like,
yeah,
dude,
we all
what are
called
you
him
doing?
an idiot. All
Why
right,
are you saying this
anyways.
stuff?
No, I mean, insane game from Castellanos and Florida State to go out there and beat Alabama after the season that they had last year. Great sign early on for them, but really bad sign early on for Alabama, because they got a lot of run-heavy teams coming up in their SEC schedule. Auburn, Florida, Mizzou even. They've just got a lot of teams that they're going to have to stop the run on, and if they can't, there's no way they're winning.
All right, moving on from our top 5 of the week to our bottom 5 of the week. Honorable mention to the bottom of 5 of the week, Kansas State. What are we doing? Why are we winning at the last minute against North Dakota?
There's no explanation for this. After last week's game, there were people, that I was talking to. They were like, all right, so Kansas State's going to be unranked now. And I was like, no, give them a week. They played another top 25 team. Technically on the road, because that's not a home game for either team. And it's miles away across the pond. But I'm almost ready to not give you any more time, just because.
Yeah, why are we?
How does it take until 40 seconds left in the game to beat North Dakota?
Why are we letting North Dakota put up 35 on us? I don't know what we're doing.
Why are we even like they were minus 20,000 favorites in the money line for this game.
Yeah.
The spread was minus 27.5 for K-State. That's
Not
a
a good
brutal
look.
look early on for
All right.
a team that's supposed to be one of the top teams this year.
I was just know for all these conferences, there's going to be a lot of shakeup in our rankings. Anyways, moving
Yeah.
on to number 5. Number five on our bottom 5 is Northwestern. For the clowns that they are, how are you going to disrespect the memorial of people whose lives were greatly affected in a natural disaster that happened 20 years ago, and then go ahead and get your behind handed to you after disrespecting said team?
Yeah,
If you don't know, Tulane requested that they were to wear white at home this game in memorial of the 2005 team that played all their games on the road after the devastation caused by Hurricane Katrina. Northwestern said no, and then proceeded to lose by 20 points. So, well-deserved bottom 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's just there's no excuse for that. You're not even the home team for that game. Like, why does it matter to you that you wear white? Like, do you really need to wear your white jerseys that game? You do? Okay. Have fun losing by 20 points. Great.
Exactly. Number 4 spot, we have quarterbacks in big games in general. Because there wasn't one quarterback in a big game this week that actually wowed me besides maybe Castellanos. Arch Manning was underwhelming. Julian Sand was much more of a game manager than I thought we would see out of him. He didn't do anything particularly to wow me. Cade Klubnik disappointed me. Garrett Nussmeier was a little flimsy until the end of that game last night. Ty Simpson wasn't that impressed. He played okay. Just all these like big quarterbacks who we, expected to be at the top of the league just didn't look good at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting, especially out of that LSU Clemson game, like I was expecting the offenses to dominate.
Expecting shootout.
Yeah, and it was a pretty low scoring game, for the talents that are on those teams, and then Texas Ohio State, those two. I mean, slow from the get go, but Arch looked really bad. He just missing throws all over the place, missing, throwing receiver screens at the receiver's foot, and just he did not look good. He looked very uncomfortable, and it was just a rough first start for him. And then Ty Simpson just didn't look great. Was really inaccurate. Completed about 50% of his passes, so that's not really the clip you want to be at.
And speaking of big name quarterbacks who are disappointing, this is a big game. This is a big name quarterback, or at least he acted like one in the offseason. Moving on to number 3 of our bottom 5, Nico Iamaleava, you absolute clown. You cannot do all these offseason shenanigans and then in the first game against Utah go 11 for 22 for 136, a touchdown and interception. Awful game.
Yeah, no, I am the biggest Iamaleava hater. I said it like earlier in the day. I was like, I can't wait for Nico to go 9 for 25 for 27 yards against Utah. Like I was excited because I knew he was going to be bad. And you know what? That's exactly what he was. And you know what? Utah capitalized on every mistake that he made, and they destroyed UCLA.
Yeah, 43-10 final score. Every day that continues to go by, Josh Heupel looks more and more smart for telling Nico, don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Josh Heupel, I was unfamiliar with your game, dude.
Yeah. That extension you got, well-deserved, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to number 2 of our bottom 5, the Alabama secondary as a whole, or their defense really as a whole. We were told going into the season that this was going to be a top 10, top 5 defense. Talking, they were good at every level. They were good at pass rush. They had an amazing secondary. Those guys just didn't show up on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing there. Florida State game plan beautifully for them, and it shows. I mean, Alabama, their biggest concern right now is how are we gonna stop the run? That is their number one concern right now because
They couldn't.
they honestly, you know what? They didn't even stop the pass that well. Castellanos went 9 for 14 and 152 yards. It's about a 10 or almost 11-yard average per completion. So, or per attempt. Sorry. So that defense just looked ugly all around.
It's bad when the best defensive back recruited by Alabama was in that game was on the other team. It was Earl Little Jr. who transferred from Bama to Florida State. It just wasn't a good look on Saturday for the Tide, and now you have a lot of questions going into all the games this season that you had marked, just especially all of them with teams with running quarterbacks. Like you have Auburn with Jackson Arnold, you have Georgia with Gunnar Stockton. Even though he didn't play good, like there's a lot of these guys on defense who are you're just like you should be better than that, even though they didn't play good.
Yeah, I mean it was just ugly.
All right, going on to our number one or our bottom five. Ryan, I'm gonna just let you take this one. Actually, wait, hold on. No, let me read this quote first. This is a quote asked to Steve Sarkisian on SEC Media Day. First question he was asked: I just want to ask, over the last couple seasons, the red zone offense has faltered a little bit in late game situations, in big moments too. I just want to ask you if the red zone offense being better would help you push you guys over the hump to get you into the national championship game. Ryan, please remind me who asked this quote to Coach Sarkisian.
Gee, pretty sure that was me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was you.
Yeah. And
what did you see with the red zone offense on Saturday?
Gee, I wonder how Texas lost this game. 13-play drive that stalled out on the 9-yard line. That would have made it 14-7. 6-play drive that you started on the 38-yard line. Stalled out. Or, excuse me, not on the 38-yard line. Where is it? Because there was another one where they went down on downs. Let's see. Here we go. 15-play drive, 70 yards. Stalled out at the 1-yard line. 2 drives that got to the red zone. You had 2 drives that got to the red zone, by the way. That's it.
Hello. You were saying on that one that stalled out on the 1 line, on 4th down, you were like,
don't sneak. Don't sneak it.
Don't sneak. It's not going to work. What did they do? They did a quarterback sneak and it didn't work.
Yeah, no. It barely worked the first time you tried it earlier. Why are you trying it on 4th and 1? Get Arch moving. He's a fast quarterback. He can beat a DN to the corner of the end zone. If you give him a couple of options to throw the ball to, you can also have him throw the ball. He's a mobile quarterback. Use him like he's one. You had those plays set up for Quinn Ewers, and he wasn't a mobile quarterback. It's frustrating because this is the 3rd year now, I think, that I'm thinking about how bad this red zone offense is. How bad, they just can't finish drives. And I get it. It's week 1. But this is a big game that you needed to at least show some signs of life. Show some signs of, okay, Arch is going to be a good quarterback this year. I didn't really see that much. I didn't see that Arch was going to be a good quarterback this year. I didn't see that this was going to be, a great team. I'm not saying Ohio State's not, another top team that's in contention for a college football championship. But you're going to see them again in the playoffs if you make the playoffs. You will see this team, and you're going to have to make those adjustments. You need to have these types of things settled by the time SEC play starts. Honestly, you need to win out your schedule if you want to play in the SEC championship game and get that auto bid. Because if you don't win out, you're not getting in that SEC championship game. You're going to lose to the likes of at least Georgia. You could lose to the likes of LSU, who's already 1-0, who's already beaten a top 4 team on the road. This was an ugly game, and in my opinion, it starts with Sark because he's the most experienced person on that field when it comes to the Texas sideline. he should be the guy that I'm saying, okay, I have complete faith in what play he's going to call. I never have that when it comes to 3rd and 3, 4th and 2, 4th and 5 from the 5-yard line, 3rd and 5 from the. I don't have faith in those plays, and I should, because he's a good coach, and I want to believe that he's a good coach.
He's more than a good coach. He's recognized as like an offensive guru.
Yes, exactly, and.
Anyways, there's our bottom 5. We're gonna move on to recapping our picks from last week, which, a lot of them weren't great. Start off Auburn Baylor. Yeah, we were both wrong on this. Auburn showed up to play on Friday.
Baylor took a little while to show up.
Baylor did. Auburn was there pretty much the whole game.
Yeah.
I like the incorporation of actually trying to focus on Jackson Arnold's skill set and focusing the offense around that. Because I think he didn't throw that many passes, did he?
No,
I know he ran
17 passes.
I know he ran for more than he threw for. So.
He ran the ball 16 times, had 137 yards and 2 touchdowns, threw the ball 11 of 17 for 108 yards.
Yeah, and that's building to your quarterback strengths, and it worked perfectly. Auburn took care of business. And, yeah, they keep that up. They could be looking good. Georgia Tech, Colorado, despite some early turnover issues, they had 3 turnovers on their first 3 drives. Georgia Tech ended up coming out with the win on that. We were both correct on that. Texas, Ohio State. I said Texas. Did you not say Ohio State?
I think I said Ohio State just because I didn't want to say Texas.
All right, well, you were right. I don't know if you're happy about that.
Hey, a win's a win.
A win is a win. Tennessee, Syracuse. We were both wildly wrong on this. We both smelled upset on this. Tennessee said not today.
Good on Tennessee.
Well, we were right about an ACC upsetting an SEC school. It just wasn't the right game, as Bama was the one to get upset by Florida State. We were both wrong on that one too. This was the one. This is the one I staked on, though. LSU Clemson. I've been saying this for weeks. I said this all the way back in our first episode 6 weeks ago that LSU was winning this game, and I don't think it was as close as the score says. LSU outran Clemson by far. Their quarterback played better. Their defense played better. This game was just so swung into Clemson's or to LSU's way that I'm actually surprised the score ended up only being 17-10.
Yeah, I mean, I had Clemson winning that game, but I will say I did see LSU. Like, I was like, I can 100% see how LSU wins this game. But yeah, I think LSU just absolutely dominated that game.
All right. And last game, unfortunately, we don't have a result for yet. As of now, this is being filmed on Sunday morning. Notre Dame, Miami kicks off tonight. So hopefully we're right about that. We both went Miami, right? I don't remember.
Did I pick Miami or did I pick Notre Dame?
I honestly don't remember because I can see this game going either way. There's so many questions for both teams.
All right, well, at the time being, I'm just going to say Notre Dame.
Okay, well, I'll say Miami. Why not?
All right.
All right. Moving on. SEC did not have a good weekend. Well, they did in some aspects, but there were some other aspects they just didn't at all. We had Bama going down. We had Texas going down. LSU did step up, but we had some other teams not looking the best. Texas A&M had some struggles with UTSA in the first half. Don't know what was going on there. Kentucky with a struggle against Toledo ended up pulling out the win. But other than that, everybody else took care of business against lower tiered schools. Just how do you think your perspective of the SEC has shifted after the first Saturday?
I would say it's a little more clear to me. I still think this is the best conference in football, but it's shifted. I think it's a little bit closer than I initially thought. I think the only team that, in my opinion, truly had, the team, in my opinion, in the SEC that had the worst week by far, Alabama, because they were the home team.
Everybody else, Alabama was not the home team in their game.
Oh, then never mind. Don't listen to me.
Well, they still got outclassed by what everybody thought was an inferior
That's right.
opponent.
Why did I think Alabama was the home team? I was saying all night, yo, they gotta stop spamming the tomahawk chop emo. Um, no, but so then yeah, then the entire SEC like the what three hardest games that the SEC four hardest games that the SEC had. Auburn on the road at Baylor, Texas on the road at Ohio State, LSU on the road at Clemson, Alabama on the road at Florida State. All games on the road. And they didn't go exactly how some people thought they would. And you know what? Those are some of the toughest environments in college football, at least, Ohio State, Clemson, and Florida State. Baylor, not as much as those three. But those are the toughest environments, or some of the toughest environments in college football. And they still put up good games. They still put up good games.
And I want to point out, outside of those 3 really hard games, or 4 hard games, well, Auburn looked good.
Yeah.
Despite that being a hard game, LSU looked good. Texas, Alabama, we know what's up with that. But I just want to point out, Missouri looked great.
Found their quarterback.
Georgia looked great. Florida looked great. Oklahoma had a little bit of a slow start, but they looked good. Texas A&M in the second half kind of picked things up. Ole Miss looked great. They hung 63 on Georgia State. Tennessee, we already talked about, looked great. Mississippi State took care of business. We already mentioned Kentucky with a little bit of struggle, but we know Kentucky's bottom of the pack. Come on, guys. Arkansas looked great. Vandy looked great. So, granted, these are lower tier teams, but the majority of the SEC teams took care of what they were supposed to do. It was just, those hard games.
A little bit of trouble with, and those are the toughest places to play. I mean, Ohio State is definitely up there for toughest place. Clemson's up there for toughest place. Florida State's up there. You can make the argument for all 3 of those places. And everyone,
I just think that
you can argue they played those lower competition teams. Whatever, they destroyed them. They didn't even make it a contest in their games. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I just think we're going to see some shifting of the way we rank these SEC teams in the following weeks. Obviously that's kind of how it works with when you have preseason rankings and you have these expectations, and then you realize, okay, things might not seem as they are. I feel like week 3 or 4 we'll see clearly really who's top of this conference in terms of the best teams.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. It is time for our week 2 predictions. Starting off hot with the game of the week, College Game Day. Location, Michigan and Oklahoma. This is another good SEC Big Ten matchup. Both these teams, new quarterbacks under the helm. One a freshman, one a transfer. These guys look pretty good. We already talked about Underwood. Mateer looked really good. 30 for 37, 392 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wow. The Oklahoma running game didn't show up as much as I would have liked them to in a game against a much inferior opponent. So that's concerning, especially because that's how Michigan beats you, is they shut down your run. We saw it last year against Ohio State. So, little concerning for next week. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think both these teams looked about as good as they could. I think defensively, Michigan still has a lot to work on. If they can, but yeah, I think if they can shut down that run early, Mateer in a new system against a much better team could be in for a little bit of trouble. But I'm interested to see how Underwood does, because this is a big game going into an SEC stadium in Oklahoma. Could be some jitters there.
Something that did confuse me about Oklahoma, we had all the talk about over the offseason. There were 2 main additions through the transfer portal that really were made people think, okay, Oklahoma could be really good this year. John Mateer, of course, who had a great game. But the other one was Jaden Ott. Jaden Ott was listed as 3rd on Oklahoma's depth chart and had 1 carry for -3 yards in this game. Very confusing, especially because he had, he was coming off a good 2023 year at Cal, had a year last year. Like, Cal wasn't that good as a team altogether. He was a highly coveted transfer target, and Oklahoma went out and got him. But then he just doesn't have a role in the first game. It's confusing to me.
Yeah, I don't know why you pay someone to transfer to your bench.
I don't know either. Maybe he'll get more of a bigger role in the Michigan game. Oklahoma just needs to run the ball better if they want to beat Michigan. That's my opinion. That's how you beat Michigan, is you run the ball better than them. Because that's who Michigan is. That's their identity. You see Justice Haynes, 16 carries, 159 yards, 3 touchdowns against New Mexico. So that's the formula to beating a Michigan team, especially with a new quarterback. Put pressure on him to go out and be a hero. That's how you win that game. And I feel like Oklahoma does have the defense to do that, especially with Brent Venables at the helm. It's just, can they execute that? I feel like that's going to determine who wins on Saturday.
Yeah. Who you got, though?
Let me look at the line real quick. Line for that game is Oklahoma 2.5. Wow. Okay.
Interesting.
It is a home game for Oklahoma, so I can understand. I'll take Oklahoma on this. I think it'll be a really close game. Really close game.
Yeah.
Talking, this is going to be one of those ugly ground and pound games. This game would be better if it was raining. That's my opinion on what this game was going to go like.
Yeah.
All right, second game.
A little bit of a mud game.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Second game up is a reignited rivalry. It's Kansas and Missouri in the border war. It's at 3 o'clock Eastern time.
2:30. So
2:30.
Yeah.
3:30 Eastern time on Saturday. Yeah, both these teams look good in their first game. I actually haven't seen how Kansas performed this past week.
They looked good.
They looked good again. Okay, well, what are your thoughts?
I think we've seen both offenses so far just look absolutely dominant against inferior opponents. It's just going to be whose defense can show up. I think Kansas has had, their 2 weeks of preparation to look good offensively and get in a rhythm offensively, and I think they will be in a rhythm. And I think Prabula, he had some really good throws and a couple of all right, you should have made that throw kind of throws. So I think it's, if one offense can get in a rhythm early, it's whose defense is going to make the first stop. Because
if we're talking whose defense is going to make the first stop, I feel obligated to go with Mizzou.
I think Mizzou's defense is great this year. I think they have a lot of older pieces. I think they have a lot of great players, and I think they can make that first stop on Kansas. I think they can stop Kansas. It's just, will they? That's the thing is, my biggest concern coming out of that game on Thursday, is I didn't really like how they were playing the run. They gave up, I think, a few too many 8, 9, 10-yard runs just for me to feel comfortable against, a Kansas team that's going to use Jalen Daniels as a running back at times. Use him to scramble outside the pocket and just create more of a 3D offense on you.
And not only that, they're just running game in general has been good the first 2 games they played. Daniel Hishaw, almost 6 yards a carry these first 2 games that they played. So, the Kansas running game is there. You just have to, if you're, on defense for Missouri, what can you do to go about stopping it? And if they, do a good job stopping the run, they make Daniels into a more prototypical quarterback, which we've seen when teams do that to him, he can tend to get flustered. So you do that, feel like you're looking pretty good. I'm going to take Mizzou here.
Yeah, I'm going to take Mizzou.
All right. Moving on, Baylor SMU. Baylor dropped first game of the year against Auburn. SMU coming off a playoff appearance. Looked good in their week 1 matchup. 2 really good quarterbacks. Sawyer Robinson On paper he had a good game, but there were times where that Baylor offense just got cold. And then Kevin Jennings coming back for another year at starting for the Mustangs. What do you expect we see out of this game?
I expect a lot of offense.
I agree.
I'm seeing a lot of big numbers so far from both offensive sides, and not a lot of big numbers on the defensive side, except for Keaton Thomas, who had 15 tackles against Auburn. He was just everywhere. I think if Robertson can hone in his accuracy, I think Baylor can pull off an upset in SMU.
All right. I don't think we're gonna see an upset. It's a tough first 2 weeks for Baylor, and I think they're gonna end up going 0-2 in the first 2 weeks, which really stinks because I really think this is a good Baylor team. Just got an unlucky draw.
Now, if they better later in the year.
Now, if they end up winning this game against SMU, I'm back on my Baylor horse. So
on the Baylor bandwagon.
Yes. All right. Moving on. The next game is Illinois Duke. It could be a good game. Darian Mensah looked really good in his first game as the quarterback for the Blue Devils. What did he throw for? Close to 400 yards, right?
Yeah, 389.
Yeah, he looked really good. Illinois, coming in as a preseason ranked team. We both had them in the top 5 of the Big Ten on our preseason rankings. They did their job week 1. So an interesting matchup, definitely. What do you think Duke has to do to try and pull an upset on a top 15 ranked team?
Play your game. Play your tempo. Don't let Illinois get into their football game. Don't let them force you to make plays that you shouldn't be making. Don't, if your first read's there, but the deep guy you see may have a chance, take the first read. Don't make silly mistakes that's going to lose you this game. You have home field advantage, so, it should be a little bit easier offensively for you to get into a rhythm. And just, you got to play your football game.
Looking at Illinois and how they ran their offense against Western Illinois, I think the key to the game for Duke is going to be their defensive front. Illinois, 209 rushing yards in their first game to only 217 passing yards. If they can try and just slow down the Illini rushing attack, they're going to be looking pretty good on defense because it's going to put pressure on Luke Altmaier to try and run this offense through the air, which, granted, he's very capable of doing. He just isn't put in that situation often because Illinois runs the ball so good. So if you're Duke, your defensive line has to come to play on Saturday if you want a chance of winning. All right, moving on. Next game, Ole Miss, Kentucky. First SEC matchup of the year, only one of week 2. And this matchup actually was a big upset last year as Kentucky went into Oxford and took down the Rebels. Week 3, I think it was, right? Week 4?
Was it week? I think it was a little bit later. Because I think Kentucky had already played Georgia at that point.
It was week 4, I believe. Anyways, it was Ole Miss's first loss of the year, and it was a big upset. Do we think there's a chance of a repeat upset this year? Game's in Lexington now instead of being in Oxford, so Kentucky's got the home field advantage. But do they have the team to try and put together an upset?
If Calzada can put together a better than 10 for 23 performance, maybe. It's not a great look, to be honest. When your quarterback goes 10 for 23 against Toledo, who you should have beaten down pretty good. But
the line for that game was 9.5. Toledo ended up covering that, so
good on them. Great for
good
Toledo.
On them.
I think Austin Simmons looked good. A little bit of trouble with interceptions, so for a Kentucky team that's more known for its defense, at least, you're gonna have to keep the ball with your team and not give Kentucky multiple chances to at least get into field goal range on you.
I like that approach though. If I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm bringing in this new kid at quarterback
Oh
who
yeah, 100%.
we know is super talented, but he just doesn't have the experience. So what do you do in a first game against an opponent that you can confidently say you're gonna beat? Air the ball out. Let him make these mistakes early in a game that has low stakes that you know you can win, as opposed to a game where the stakes are a little bit higher and these 2 interceptions could cost you the game. Let him make those mistakes early on so he can work them out of his system, and then when it comes time for high pressure situations, he's more ready and prepared to actually make the right reads and the right throws.
Air the stadium out.
I don't think you can say that.
Dude, just let him air it out.
Okay, yeah. There are a couple different meanings for that sentence right
yeah.
there. Anyways, last game for week 2, Iowa State. You did not like what you saw out of Iowa in week 1.
Yeah, no. What? Yeah, okay. They ended up winning that game 34-7, but
to be fair, that's how Iowa plays football. 44 passing yards, 122 rushing yards. Let's go out and play some defense. So
yeah, no, I didn't like that start of the game, at least for Iowa. Thought it was hilarious that they were losing to Albany.
Yeah.
Who I didn't know had a football team.
Albany. I remember you saw that on TV. You were like, "Who's Iowa playing? Albany?" Wait,
Albany?
the score, they were losing 7-3, and now it's 10-3. What? Or 10-7?
Yeah, no.
What?
Oh my god. Well, because we saw it was 9-7, and it was like, okay, so that's funny. They're up 9-7, and it's Iowa, and then it was 10-7 2 seconds later, and it was like, wait, they were losing?
They were down. Wait, they were losing that game? What? To me, I think it falls on, can Iowa State just compete with Iowa in terms of running the ball? Last week against South Dakota, they ran for 223, but their guy Carson Hansen did not have a good game. 9 for 19, 2.1 yards per carry. Dylan Lee was the best rusher for the Cyclones in that game, 13 for 81 and a touchdown. So really, if Iowa State's going to run by committee and instead of having a workhorse back, can that committee mesh together to, I don't know, put together a similar, I'm not going to say similar performance because 223 rushing yards a game is insane, but can they put together, a good amount of success on the run game, establish a run game, and then it opens it up for, your quarterback, Rocco Becht, to make simpler throws against a good defense. I feel like if you can establish the run early on for the Cyclones, you can walk away with a win.
Yeah, I think, and, obviously their number one guy didn't have his best game rushing, but when another guy can step up, that's exactly what Iowa State's going to need. Because Iowa's a good defense. That's what they're known for. I think if you can just figure out who's going to be on today early on, then start, give him the ball a little bit more, but make it a bit more of a communal effort.
All right. 2.5 for Iowa State. I'd take Iowa State on that.
Yeah, I'm going to take Iowa State as well. I'm also, for the other two games, Illinois Duke and Ole Miss Kentucky. I don't think we made our picks for those.
We did not. I'll go Ole Miss for that game, and I'll go Illinois for the other game.
I smell an upset. I just don't know which game.
Don't miss again. We missed last week on the upset.
I'm gonna go with Duke, Illinois. I think Duke is gonna manage an upset in this one, and I think it's gonna surprise a lot of people. I want to say Kentucky. I just don't think they're good enough this year.
Yeah, if there were to be an upset, I definitely think it would be Duke over Illinois. I don't have much faith in Kentucky.
Looking at Calzada's stats, I can't pick Kentucky, and still think I'm right.
At what point do they give up on trying to get 1-year rentals and try and get a guy that they can have start for 2-3 years and develop?
When Mark Stoops is no longer the coach.
Fair enough. All right. How short you think his leash is?
I want to say super short, but I can't because if I was the AD, I mean personally, he's probably not the coach anymore at Kentucky. But I mean, if
Yeah, I would have done that 2 years ago.
yeah, I would have done that more than 2 years ago.
He's the longest tenured coach in the SEC, by the way.
Has yet to make an SEC championship.
Yeah.
So, no, I honestly have no idea how long his leash is. It could be the shortest leash of any coach. It could be the longest leash of any coach. That I have no idea.
All right.
Because he's been there for 14 years.
All right. Final segment of today's episode. Week 1 overreactions. Ryan, I need conference championship predictions for all 4 conferences. Go.
All right.
After what you saw
Champion
week
or
1.
championship game?
Championship game.
Championship
And
game.
champion.
All right. I'll start off in the ACC. I still like Clemson, Georgia Tech. And I still like Clemson. SEC, it's a little bit harder to say Texas, Georgia now, but I still think Texas, Georgia, and if they make the adjustments, Texas. If they don't make the adjustments, Georgia.
Okay.
Big 12, give me Iowa State and Tech. I don't know.
Okay.
Those are the only 2 teams that I'm super high on right now. And then Big 10, give me man. Hold on, let me look at the conference real quick. I just need to see who else could be in contention.
While you do that, I'm going to take this overreacting thing to heart and go on a spree. Ready? Georgia, LSU, and the SEC. In the ACC, give me Georgia Tech and Florida State. In the Big 10, give me Penn State, Michigan. And in the Big 12, give me Texas Tech and Utah.
Okay, don't know how you really took it to heart. Give me.
Don't know how that's going to hold up. Don't care.
Big 10.
It's an overreaction for a reason.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean... Oh, yeah, no, wait. No, let me keep Utah in my championship. What was I saying? I had them in my championship game.
You had them in your championship before you took them out.
Game. I forgot that I had them in my championship game. Let me keep Iowa State, Utah.
Okay. And Big 10, you said Michigan State and Penn State, or Michigan and Penn State as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
how much
a little
of it
bit different. My SEC one changed. My ACC one definitely.
Well, yeah, because you put LSU in now.
Okay, well, Texas was the one before. Who won and who didn't? God. The ACC one changed from Clemson to Florida State. I kept Georgia Tech in. Who was my pick? I think it was still Ohio State, Penn State, wasn't it? So I just went from Ohio State to Michigan. That's gonna, yeah. I don't know. I don't like how Ohio State played, even though they won.
They won ugly.
They couldn't run the ball.
Take that over a pretty loss. So
they couldn't run the ball at all. Granted, Texas is a good defense, but Ohio State just could not do anything on the ground.
Yeah.
They won because Texas offense stunk and Carnell Tate made a really, really good catch.
And Colin Simmons got an unwarranted penalty on a 3rd down that would have stalled out a drive, but ended up in a touchdown. So, and Texas, we've already gone over it, doesn't know how to run a red zone offense. So, yeah.
Yeah, we knew that. And the Big 12 is still as chaotic as ever, so nothing really new there. All right, well, anything else for you to say?
I'm excited for week 2.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited for more football. I'm excited for more football tonight with Notre Dame, Miami. Hopefully that's a good game. Like Clemson, LSU was last night. Well, that's going to do it for us for episode 7 of the Pre-Snap Pressure Podcast. Make sure to tune in next Tuesday for episode 8, recapping all the week 2 games, covering all the week 3 games, and sharing any other news that might happen in between now and then. We will see y'all then.